Happy Tuesday, everybody. This is the last day of April. Can you believe it? Hi, Rodney.
How are you doing, sir?
You know
I
what?
can't believe it. It's crazy. It's last day of April. It's kind of flying pretty fast.
I'm telling you, we slipped past tax season, I love that. And we're sliding into summer. My name is Andy Elliott. I'm a real estate agent, realtor to be specific, in Williamson County, Tennessee. I am with my best bud, Rodney Wilds, who is a loan officer with First Trust, also in Williamson County. The goal of this show is to share what's going on in the news, and I'm going to tell you, every day it's a circus. There's a lot going on these days. Today we're going to be a little more introspective, perhaps, but we'll get to that in just a second. Rodney, what's new with you? Anything? What's going on with you?
Not much. Just living the dream out with this market fluctuations and just crazy market. You know, one day it's projected to go down, next day it's going up. So just living the dream.
Living the dream. Yes. Well, some of us are. Good for you. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I have to ask, did you golf this last weekend?
I did. We got to play some golf.
Good.
Me,
Kids are good.
my partner Jay Peterson took me straight to the championship circle. I've never played so bad and won a tournament. That's
Oh,
what partners are for.
I,
You know, I played terrible. He
hey,
played great, and it was a two-man team. So I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. I went in and celebrated like I played the best round of my life.
and that's the way I feel every week. You're holding me up, man. You're
Yeah.
holding me
How
up.
was your weekend?
It was business is good. I was busy. There's a lot going on real estate wise. It's spring, and weekends is when typically, you get called out. That's when it's going to
Hmm.
happen. I'm really pleased with my Denver Nuggets. Not a big, huge basketball guy, but we made it on to the next round. Anyway, so I thought we'd start this way. How about you feeling good about this? Okay, here we go. Hit with the pip. Good. Dink.
All right. Here is a full year, 1 year of looking at what our rates have done. Um,
Wow.
you can
Wow.
kind of see for yourself. Now, the green right here, just for anybody watching, the green means good. Okay, so when it's going up right here, it means our rates was getting better from October through the end of December, and then from that very peak, we are down. You know, this looks like 101.8 all the way down to 99. So it's 1 point, 108 basis points, 180 basis points. So
Man.
pretty good little dip, but we still gained, well over two from or right at three from the bottom. So we're still up from where we are, just a little bit down from where we've been. And as you know, everybody's kind of predicting um, more of this right here until houses get a little bit better inventory and inflation goes down. Um,
Now, for anybody that's not seen this chart before, it's the opposite. It's upside down of what we normally see. In other words, that down means rates were really high, correct?
Yes, when this level right down here as a red, it's mostly red here. As it tracks down on this chart, that means the rates are going up.
Right. And how are we looking for the movement moving forward? Normally, you pull that down and we look at something. Maybe not. Maybe not. Do you have any?
Um,
Do you have any feelings for? I guess it's yeah. It was. I just saw it. There it is. Um, Everything's red. Except the
Today,
10 year.
You know, 4 basis points is not a whole lot here, so this should reverse around. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because in the 25 basis points, a lot of the investors will start making changes to their rates.
Yeah.
What they'll do is they say, okay, so I'm going to suspend today's rate and I'm going to issue a new rate sheet in 5 minutes. When the market's getting really, really good or really bad.
Right. And it's my guess that are we done with that chart?
We are.
The I think that the Fed is in a meeting today and tomorrow. It's my understanding, right? And it's also my understanding, and I'm sure yours too, that I'm going to kill that shared screen. I'm going to kill that here. Okay, good. Um, no cuts, clearly, no cuts, right?
Yes, no cuts.
I mean, and so, and I'm seeing again. We always have this conversation that the rates that I see on the national mortgage daily, I think it is typically runs pretty hot compared to what that you are able to supply to people, right?
It depends on which one you're looking at, but it's fair since everybody has such a different credit profile. You could
Yes,
get you could get a lot worse or a lot better. You know
got
what
it.
I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's
yeah, and
that's the thing about it.
the rates that I see, and I'm like anybody that knows me, I am not a lender. I don't pretend to be. I can read charts and stuff, but Rodney's the guy with those numbers. And so, like the app that I use it's Mortgage News Daily, and
Hmm.
it tells me what's going on now. How they figure that, I don't have a clue. They average
It's
it.
very accurate.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's if you're talking about a generalization, it's going to be a very accurate rate. It's just whenever if specifically a person comes in, they may not, depending on if their profile's way better or way worse than what Mortgage Daily news
Right.
used would depend on their actual rate.
Right. And I guess my point is, and this isn't bad, it's just what it is.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. Uh, Like Rodney always says, the market's going to take care of all this. We just got to go through sort of the sausage making process. That's what we're in right now. It'll all make sense down the road. But 750, 7.5 is what I'm seeing from
Mhm.
Mortgage News Daily. And there were people talking about 8, and then they were like, "No, I was way wrong, way off a couple of months ago. Oh, I
Mhm.
wasn't even close. Here we are."
Yeah.
you know,
Yes. We were, yeah, I was extremely excited. We started the year under 7%, and then as you can see, it's tracked up 100 plus basis points since then. But it's a cycle. I mean, this thing is it's like you remember when we've talked about it's like a huge Exxon Mobil ship. This thing just doesn't turn around like a sports boat. So
Uh, and think of everything that's going on in the world to
mhm.
include strife, and I don't want to there's just a lot going on in the world that make investors, everybody a little bit nervous. So when people get nervous, prices get more expensive. I don't know where that connection is, but that's just the way it works. But I thought this is what I call a stray article, caught my eye. Let me see if I can pop this up. When will the red when will the Fed begin to cut interest rates? It's a mystery. And that's coming from CNN. Are they great?
Yeah.
I don't know. They're
They should be ranked just ahead of our podcast in terms of credibility. Like CNN, dollars and
dollars and
cents right
cents.
here. Yes.
Yeah, those guys. Who?
Well, yeah, I bet. Yeah, they. Between me, you, and Phil, we got 75 cents bet on how many cups they're going to have, but they don't know either.
Right, that's it. It's a mystery. And we've been saying
Yeah,
that for a year. I don't know.
yeah.
We're
That's a
very
good. That's
clear that this podcast is simply our opinion.
a,
Right. So let's start out on a couple of things. These are things that caught my eye. Um, and that's how this show goes. It's if something catches my fancy, it makes it to the show. But here's the first one that I thought we would touch base. It's navigating the housing market, a seasonal perspective. I like showing people pictures there. The reason that I wanted to bring this up was there's been a lot of stress and a lot of turmoil about the number of houses for sale, the existing, the inventory. Everybody's under pressure. But let's talk about what's going on normally. While real estate activity has already picked up, it's an opportune time to discuss the housing market's seasonality trends. Seasonality it's important, and we depend on that. Now, you would think that a couple of years ago that it was out of whack. I'm going to show evidence to the contrary on that. So let's look at the peak buying season. And this is, you chime in now,
Gotcha.
Rodney. So the peak buying season, people will call early in the year and they say, when is the best time to sell? What they're asking is, when will I get the best return on my house? When will that happen? And it's going to be, I usually put it between February and June, at least for us, because that last half of February, beginning into May, my theory has always been house listings pop up with the daffodils around here. Just seems to be. And it's always kind of stuck true. But so April through June, the average number of existing homes sold per day, this is in the country, is 16,530 houses every day. Tell me this isn't a Titanic, meaning a big ship trying to turn.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a big Titanic. Was probably the wrong thing to use. Sorry.
Yeah. Well,
Oops.
yeah.
Let's move on.
Something.
The average number of new homes per day was 2,000. Remember, we were talking about the distinction between existing homes for sale and new homes, and it's way different. I mean, it's way different. The median days on market was 33 days. Now, I think that this is based on what's typical, and I'll show you something in a second here. We'll pop it up.
Right.
Any thoughts so far? We're doing good?
No, it's right on the money.
Okay. It does say that new home sales are less sensitive to seasonality, and I think that that's true because of stock and the way they build houses. The other existing homes sell more in the spring because there's more homes available. Usually, there's just more listings. Usually, I think. Whereas new builds are pretty steady. They just build as they can, I think. So it's less sensitive.
I think I still think there's an increase. They have an increase as well, but they have an advantage over everybody else because they control their inventory, and that's the biggest thing for them is that they control their inventory. And if they wanted to have a great spring, they could have a great spring.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think they definitely do the seasonal thing to try to have more inventory and things like that. But you're right.
And
it's less affected by the normal sellers because the normal sellers in a spring market are people who's trying to get their kids into a new school district, or a bigger house, the same school district, whatever, during that time so they can do it while kids are out of school.
And then you've got a place like West Haven. This is not an ad for West Haven. It's a lovely place. But they've got new builds coming, and they're selling houses with just the dirt being scraped. West Haven, I mean, they'll do pre-sales consistently, because that's for anybody that's not familiar with Williamson County, Franklin, specifically West Haven is just a wonderful development. It's very exclusive. It really is. And there's a new 55 plus community going in down there. I'm not going to guess how many houses because I think I'd be wrong. But it seems to be pretty popular, and they're pushing, I think, 800,000-900,000 bucks at least, and they're
Oh yeah, I
small.
think it's well over a million now.
Is it? I mean, I think these are like townhomes or cottages. They're small, is what I'm
Oh,
getting at. The
you
55
talking about
plus stuff.
the 55 plus? Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't looked into it deeply, but I know that's going on. Anyway, so the high activity as the year goes on, activity continues through July through September, and it's just like what Rodney was saying. As people in the heat of the summer, I know in Tennessee, it'll take the starch out of you. If you go out and look at 4 or 5 homes when it's 95 degrees and 89% humidity, it'll take this.
Yeah.
It'll wear you out. But it does continue. But it does begin to slow down, and then prices are going to start to moderate just a little bit. The average numbers of existing homes from July through September, amazingly, is just 300 less. It's 16,200 every day. That's a big, no wonder. Housing is big. I
It
remember
is.
when I first started looking into real estate. Here's a little Andy story for you. And remember, Rodney, this is the signal if I go on.
Yeah, I gotcha.
When I first got started, and I'd never considered real estate, this is back in 2004. And I thought to myself, there just can't be that many houses. It's got to be saturated. There's not enough room for another guy, meaning, it's too late. There's not that many houses to be sold. And it wasn't until, boy, was I wrong, is all I'm saying. God, boy, damn, there's a lot of houses.
Yeah,
A
I
lot
mean,
of
when you
houses.
start looking at cities, that just one city alone, when we were at moving, so people were moving in 100 people per day
A
in
day.
one city. Um,
In the
that
Nashville.
that
Yeah. God. So the market slows. Here we go. The timing October through November. The average number of existing homes sold today drops to 13. The new homes sold, they dropped to 16. By the way, I wanted to back up to, July, September. New homes dropped to 18 from 2000. Then it's down to 16 in October through November. Then the lowest activity, December through February, and that's just a given for around here. Like in Colorado, where I used to live, it gets snow. You can't go out. I mean, you
right,
can't.
yeah,
That's a lot. That's the case for a lot of the northern places, But around here, it's just cold and nobody wants to do it. So, but the number of properties that sells 11,300. Average number of new homes is 1640. Median days on the market 49. So that's what is normal. But what I wanted to show you was here's what's actually going on.
the new construction followed that pretty good as far as the new construction was peak during the peak season, just like the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it fell in line with the other houses as well.
It did. It was just a smaller number. I mean, that's all it
Right.
was. But this is what's interesting. Here's the chart, which you can see. This is clearly January. It's the same up and down, essentially, every year, even in our craziness back in 20 and
Yeah.
21. It's a little bit wonky there. You can see it got a little bit crazy there. But the whole point of the article, for me at least, was it doesn't take much to upset the apple cart. I mean, there's more consistency behind the underpinning than you
Hmm.
would think, and yet it feels like, I mean, look at what was happening to our market. That's all I certainly can speak to
Right.
is appraisal gaps and $50,000 over the listing price, and
Yes.
yet
And
And yet
yet,
you
yeah,
look at,
yeah, every January it tumbled.
yeah, and then you look at this and it's like, that doesn't look that dramatic to me.
Yeah.
That's crazy. The
Pretty normal stuff. It's pretty. You, it's pretty. I don't know. It's kind of cool to see that it is a normalcy in that market because it just hasn't felt like that.
which is frankly, I'm glad you brought that up because that's kind of my point. Let's go through just a couple of these just to show you what's going on. 5 years is too long. Well, 3 years is about right. Over the last 3 years is when we've really had a lot of pitch and rolling up and down. And hey, where's my? Hey, wait a minute. No. But that's where we had all that upset and stuff. But here's what's going on over the long term, because in my opinion, this is an example of the market working itself out, like Rodney always says. It can feel chaotic, but over the long span, it's not so bad. So these are the median prices over the last 3 years. Now, this is the United States, but it's not outrageous. It goes from 350 to, what is that? Probably 430, 420, 31. That's not outrageous. Again, that's the US. We just went through the homes sold. Here's the mortgage rates. That's a little bit, that's telling you why things are slowing down. The number of homes for sale. This has gone, it's more consistent than you would think, isn't it?
It is, but it's if you go up there from that peak of 22 to for how many thousands? I can't see on the far like how much difference that is, but it's significant, I think.
Yeah, well, you've got from here, it's going to be 1.1 million, call it, and this is now currently 1.5. So you're up here, it's going to be 1.9. So that's quite a swing. That's quite a
Yeah,
swing.
almost 30% more in housing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Newly listed homes, 549. I don't know what they mean by that. I guess it's inside 30 days. Median days on the market, months of supply is going down because, oddly
Uh,
enough, I don't know why that is. Isn't that amazing?
yeah, it was getting pretty close.
Yeah, yeah. 30. Here's an interesting thing. 30% homes sold above the list price. 30%. Huh. Where it was back in the day, pushing 60%. 60%. Now here's a number. Here's a number that's interesting. Price drops. The number of price drops has gone to over 15%, but still almost 100% sale to list.
Good.
Interesting. I guess really my point on that is, as chaotic as it seems, it's just not. The numbers don't say that. However, I mean, you're right. The number that the inventory going from 1.1 to 1.8, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Well, there's I'll segue into this other one, into our market predictions, or
Mm-hmm.
the one that where they called a price drop. It's like it definitely the price drop thing is okay. Houses prices are going to drop. Well, when they talk about that, it's certain markets that drop 1%. It's not they're not dropping 15-20%. They're dropping like one. They're predicting them to drop 1%, but it's it's still, yeah, the it's just it's just a crazy market, like you said. It's pretty wild, but at least it is consistent. If you look over year, January's been the rock bottom of everything, and it kind of
Always.
fed off that for every year. And So, at least that's remaining consistent.
But I tell you what is, and this is a real world example. I know of one listing in particular that it was listed. It's under contract now, but while it was listed, it had um, 77 showings. 77 showings. The reason I bring that up is there's a lot of buyers out there. There's a lot of
Seven,
buyers.
it had 77 showings. Do you know how fast it got an offer?
It took a while. It was overpriced, so it took a while.
Yeah. Okay.
But I would tell you that, in my opinion, and how would I know? I'm just an outside observer. Um, if it was priced differently, it would have certainly sold. It would have sold quicker, I think, probably on that. But the days on market was relatively low. It's just what I'm
Yeah.
trying to tell you is the days on market was low, but the number of buyers was through the roof. The interest
Yeah,
was
that's a
there.
lot. Yeah.
The interest was there. But if you would have had, this is just my opinion, we'll never know. If it was a 6.5% rate or a 6% rate, somebody would have pulled the trigger sooner.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
I
'cause-
100%. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if people can be uncomfortable with a little bit of a lofty price, but if you're not getting beat up too much on rates, then it's worth the
Right.
gamble, So
Especially out of 77. If what would you say 77 people looked at that, that would have been, geez, you may not have made much rate before you got a bunch of offers, bunch of a
mhm,
rate reduction before you got a whole lot of offers.
mhm. So let's talk about just a couple of things on this. Relative to the housing market forecast, what they're calling for is a 1.5% an increase of home prices by 2025 of 1.5%. That's the growth that they're predicting. Now, do these guys know? No. It's just a forecast. And remember, I think we went through that 25 or 73 or whatever number of companies that were guessing on that, and all of them were wrong. So the question is, will the housing market finally recover in 2024? If you were to vote on that, Rodney, what would you say?
I wouldn't say recover by the end of 2024. I'm hoping that we'll see market improvement, like some significant gains, not necessarily in like the 1% appreciation, but more like you know a lot more inventory, a lot more people
Mm-hmm.
selling and buying,
Mm-hmm.
and where hopefully new construction would become a little bit less of the piece of the pie,
Mm-hmm.
and while our market grows.
I, yes, I agree. I don't think for me, in a word, it's not going to recover. I don't think there's recovery there because I
Right,
don't even know what that really means. Does that mean
right.
going back to normal like it was in 2019? I I think those days are gone.
Yeah, I think I don't. Yeah, recover. I think, but I think as soon as rates get to a point where
Yep.
people are
Yep.
going to come off the shelf a little bit faster, and I think the recovery is going to be gone by that point. I think we're going to be in another, demanding situation for buyers. You know,
100%.
so
I did it. There's on YouTube. There's a thing called a short, and it's just like it's 15 or 20 seconds where you do a short thing. And the what I was talking about the other day, it was bouncing off what you and I were talking about a couple of weeks ago. Is should you buy now or wait? And and typically the response I get on that, and this isn't negative. I'll take any kind of engagement. It's all okay. But typically I'll get, well, hey, he's a realtor. Of course he's going to try to sell the house, not realizing
right.
we're actually saying it really is a good time to buy, not just because we're trying to get you to buy a house, but because moving forward, you're going to have equity and all the other reasons. But
Yeah,
that happens so much. And the other thing that I said, and this is my point, the other thing that I said in the short was the market today, higher rates have begun to be normalized a little bit. I'm not saying everybody's happy with it, but
Yeah.
it's not. It's my phrase was it's not quite the buzzkill that it was a while ago. Are you still okay with that theory?
Yeah, I'm in agreement 100%. One, rates are normalizing, meaning a lot of the people that are even in the market probably didn't even know there's a 2 or 3% out there. I mean, we are years removed from very good rates, and so I think as each day goes on, and we've said it a bunch, like we got to six. Okay, well, it hit seven. Well, everybody was like, man, look how good six looks now. And then it got to 7.5, and it's like, man, looks how good 6.5 looks now. So each time this thing goes up, it's like there's more and more people that like, okay, well, you know, maybe 6%, 6.5% is our new target. So
It's like that rubber band theory or whatever they call it. When you stretch it, you can stretch it a little bit further each time. It doesn't quite collapse. Because I think, well, I'm sure based on what we've seen, it's not just because I think I've seen it so many times. You are 100% right with that 7.5%, which you can call that tragic or whatever. I mean, that's a high number, 7.5. Understand anybody that's watching this may not be you. That's an average. But looking at 7.5, when it hits, if we get to the point where it's 6.75 again, just saying, if we ever do, well, that's going to look like money in the bank.
right,
It's
yes.
going
I mean, we've all heard it. People say, well, my parents they did something at 18%,
to, yeah.
and paid 2 points at it. And people were actually buying it. It wasn't 16 or 20 something thousand a day, but people were still buying, and
Mm-hmm.
18%, there was still a market. Now, I don't think United States will ever see that again, but you never know. But it's as time keeps going on, because think about it, I mean, we've been in this rate debacle for 2+ years now,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
everybody with fives and threes and 2.5s, they're long out of the rate game. They haven't people that hasn't been in the market for 5 years now, so it's becoming less and less people even thinking about that.
Yeah. The if, when I post a video like that seems to be pro real estate, which I am, they'll hit me with, yeah, but the prices weren't so high as they were back then. It was a different time. Well, that's
Yeah,
true. There's truth to that, but it'll all
it's
work out.
it's all relative. I mean, people who paid, parents who paid $60,000 for their house, and now kids are paying, grandkids are paying 600,000 for their first house. It's they're probably spending the same amount of income or just a hair higher today than they was back then. It's it's all relative of, according, to me, as far as they made $8 an hour or $50 a week, whatever it was, and they bought their house for 60,000, 50,000. So
Yeah,
it's the
relatively
same
speaking.
percentage as our grandparents had,
Yeah,
pretty close.
the relative. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. So then now we go tripping into the thing which is the hot topic, and we didn't start with this, and I don't think I'm going to try to end with it, but the NAR settlement has to come up in this predictions on what's going to happen this year. That had to make an entrance. Boom, boom. I mean, and here it is. The NAR settlement rocks the residential real estate. Um, it says, how will the new rules impact the buying and the selling process? Let me show you something. One of my buttons is working again. I'm so pleased with this. Bing. This is a meme that was put up on a real estate Facebook page. Question: help. What would you do if a seller only wants to pay 1.5 total listing commission? The reason I bring that up is because it's what we've been talking about. It's always been negotiable, always been negotiable. But now people are becoming more forceful about it because it's sort of a, I don't know if Pandora's box is the right analogy, but
It is. It's exactly what it is. The buyers have to negotiate that fee now. Now that was a listing agent question, but it's all under it's become negotiable basically. It's almost like they're saying, okay, this is So the
right.
I think the market will dictate. The people who pay that fee will sell their houses faster.
And their chances are that they'll, yes, yeah, that's correct. I mean, but when, as a professional, when I look at 1.5% split both ways,
Is that how you took that? I took that as a listing.
no, it's a listing, but
Like,
what they're talking about is the total. The total listing commission is 1.5%, meaning split that two ways.
oh, I thought when you said listing commission, see, I don't think about splitting anymore.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought
Well,
listing commission was just 1.5 to the listing agent, and then the selling agent was just a total separate negotiation.
no, that's the way they're headed with that. Like you can't. I wouldn't show the rest of the post for you
Gotcha.
know
So
yeah,
so that person's going from 6% to 1.5%.
to
Trying to.
0.75. Meaning, here I am splitting it already. Yes, the seller went from 6 to 1.5. And remember, if anybody's watching this, we're just talking about a meme, you know.
Yeah.
But the question is that somebody approached this agent with, I'm only going to offer 1.5 total commission. What that means is you can do with it what you want. You can keep it, or let them hassle with, let the buyer deal with it, or split it with the buyer. That's what it
Gotcha.
seemed to me.
Mm. Now that's like anything else. That's like, hey, if you want to come buy my house, give me 6 million for it, and I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an unreasonable offer, right? I mean,
It is. But isn't that the part of the market secret that you're talking about? Because that kind of behavior, people are going to try it. They're going to try it.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
And
But I mean, and like I said, Andy, I don't blame people for trying.
me
I don't
neither.
blame people for negotiating, but they're going. Anybody worth their weight, anybody worth their salt is going to say, listen, unfortunately, I can't do this deal like that, and here's what I think you're going to get if you get somebody to do the deal like that. It's not going to work out very well for them. I can't, I don't have that sales pitch or not sales pitch, but I don't have the
I
way
get
to
it.
express my value because that's not what I do. And honestly, yeah, real estate agents haven't had to done a lot of that before.
Mm-hmm.
It's been an easy explanation, but um, there's going to be people that try that, but it's also be like good luck.
Yeah.
I mean,
There is going to be a proliferation. Somebody's going to start coaching agents to sell their services for $1,500 with no contract involvement or very little. I mean, there's some of those, flat fees right now. The
yes,
reason
yeah,
the reason they don't proliferate is because they're not terribly popular. If they were, the market's a funny thing. If something's popular, everybody's using it.
right.
And
If that I think that says a lot. One, that sell for less or list for less or whatever you want to
yeah,
call it.
don't be mean. Yeah, she's cool. Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm not talking about the person. I'm just talking about the. I'm not talking about
Concept,
anybody specific.
concept.
It's like I'm offering a a la carte service for $500. I'm going to put your house on MLS, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They've been around.
Oh
They've
yeah.
been around and forever, but they're like kind of like you're saying is that they're not wildly popular because people selling a huge asset they need some guidance from a professional. it's not, only very, I mean, you get somebody inexperienced and cheap and all this, and just like, oh, I'm going to put my house on the market myself. I mean, they're liable to lose thousands.
Mm-hmm.
But having somebody that knows the market, as the real estate agents do, good real estate agents, they're worth their weight in gold in getting your house sold smoothly, so you don't, fight your wife the whole way through this, or your spouse, or what. I mean, moving's, it's personal. It's there's a lot of stuff going on, and you guys keep deals together. I mean, I see it daily. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just the way it is.
Yeah, there's going to be, but I think, and I'll leave this alone. Is what's going to happen is that with the new with the new realization of what's going on, I call it the Pandora's box again. I don't know that that's a great analogy, but with this new realization that people can bargain even more stringently than before, there's going to be a willing market to test things. Normally, when there's anything new like an iPhone or an electric car, something like that, there's a group that's called early adopters. They're almost like the beta testers of new stuff. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
I know it's risky, but I got to try it because it's new. I'm an early
Right.
adopter for electronics. I'll spend some serious money on stuff that may not work out, but it's cool. Then there's the people that once it's tested, these people with software. I'm not beta testing nothing.
Yeah.
They just don't want their life.
Figure it out and give me the finished product. Yeah.
That's right. Let me know when you're done messing around. And that's the next group. So there's going to be those early adopters that's going to make everything seem chaotic, perhaps even more than it is, because those are the ones that's going to be that getting the headlines. I mean, today, I guess I'm a victim of it too. Here I am making a big deal about that. And it's just one guy or person.
Well, yeah, and I think, unfortunately, I think what's going to make things chaotic, and I think the early adopters, like you're talking about, like the real estate agents, that's going to embrace it and figure out a new way to do it, or might try to can the new way to do it, or whatever. But I think that the chaos is going to come from the buyers and sellers, because they're liable to, you just bring people into the mix, and they bring their own ideas into the mix, and they're liable to trade a chicken or something in the deal. I mean, it's become negotiable, and that means everything is on the table, like
That's right.
From 0.5% to
Zero.
apple pie and a chicken and a bottle of whiskey or something. I mean, who knows what this thing will come into, but they're going to bring it out. Customers will bring everything into this.
I agree. And if I wasn't in the business, if I wasn't in the business, I'd be one of those guys, because I'm an early adopter. I would try it. I would like,
yeah,
what the hell have I got to lose? If it doesn't sell, I stay. Yeah. I'm good. So the changes, how's it going to impact these home buyers? I think that we had a conversation last week that there was a rule change for FHA stuff, right? Yes, no.
it was
interested party.
Basically a clarification that they already clarified that, basically saying that the real estate fees has always been a seller paid item, and it's normal, and that's not going to be counted into what is considered a sales concession for the buyer.
Right.
It's never been that, so they're not making it like that now.
Got it. And that's good news, right? I mean, they're trying to
Absolutely.
follow.
Absolutely.
Okay. And what we still don't have an answer with yet, as far as I know, is for VA. We don't have an answer to that yet, right?
You do have an answer. They're not changing it. They're not looking to change it. Everybody's hopeful that that's going to change, but under no circumstances VA going to allow them to add that into the sales price of the house and finance that fee. VA strict. They are what's best for the veteran, and I do not see. I'm going to go on a record right here and saying ooh, I do not see them making this change. It's not in the best interest of the veteran for them to start paying that realtor fee.
We got a fighter. I like it. You'll do fine. I'm telling you.
Hey, it's not a brawl right now. It's a pretty easy transaction right now with the seller. You get to negotiate, and that's when people say, Andy, people can say all day long, and I get it. It may not be a good time for them to buy, but if you want to show me a house, an address around here, and I pull it up and add some appreciation to it, you can quickly see that a little bit in percentage rate does not save near enough of what that appreciation cost you if you have to buy it for 30,000 more next year. You know what I'm saying? That's what's killing people is that, okay, well, I pay 7%, man, that's an extra $250. Well, pay 30,000 more for the house and see what that costs you.
I can't tell you the number of times over the last couple of years when people would say, they were waiting. Remember for the crash monsters, they were waiting for the market to crash, and that's when they were going to.
They're still waiting.
They're still waiting, and I can't tell you the number of times people are like, "Damn, I should have bought. I should have." I mean,
I hear it all the time.
Damn.
I hear it all the time, and it's simply because people. You would think inflation and everything we're facing right now that that the housing market would be going backwards, but it's not. It's not. And it hasn't been because of the inventory, and we don't have an immediate fix for that, and it's okay. I mean, like I said, it may not be the time for somebody to buy, but if you're looking at dollars and cents, hey, did you see that? You hear that? If you're looking at dollars and cents, we could pull up an address and just look at it. We may need to do that live just because it's the last several times I've done, it's not even been close. When you have a couple percent appreciation, rates don't matter.
Are you talking about a calculator?
More for that house.
Are you talking about pulling up a calculator? Is that what you mean, or what?
Yeah, like next time we could do I'll run some numbers on a home, and then we'll look at some, because people, if you're waiting, either for rates to go down or you're waiting for the home price to go down, and the rates are going to do what rates are going to do. The home prices are probably going up
consistently, even if, like we said at the very beginning, that most of the predictions for home prices over the next until December of 25 is 1.5%. That's about as flat as you can get without going backwards. I mean, but it's still grows.
But let rates hit 6.5%.
Yeah.
And then what might not be a huge increase, but let's say it goes to 5%. Say that house you're trying to buy for at 600 today goes up 5% in a year, and so what is that? 630. So it's $30,000, and I'll tell you this: you're not going. There's no difference in percentage rate. It's going to cost you $30,000 a year.
Right. Yeah. God. Yeah. It's boy, oh boy. And then the next part of this is such an interesting article. It's way too deep and wide for us just to chat it out. But I think this is a recurring theme, at least for this guy. And I know for you, I know certainly for you too, is that affordability for people, that's just that's a heavy lift. That's tough, Mm-hmm. But it has created some policy changes in some of the governments, even local to Nashville. That East Bank thing that is going
Mm-hmm.
on next to the stadium. And did you hear about Oracle is going to make Nashville its headquarters now, world headquarters? Did you know about that? Well, in the
Yes.
East Bank development, there's 1,550 residences they're going to build, but like a large number of them are going to be affordable. I only bring that
Affordable.
up because,
Yeah.
and I don't know how they would do that. They said market rate, I think is what they said, market rate, and then affordable. I don't know. Is it a subsidy thing? I don't know how that works, but
Yeah, I'll tell you, I've got a lot of experience actually with affordable units. What they do, what normally they do is a builder will go in and say, okay, if I'm doing this East Bank, in order, every city needs affordable housing,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
For
yeah,
for lower end labor, whatever the labor force for whatever. So what they say is they'll go in and say, okay, well, if I'm building 300 units, I'll give you 40 units, or we'll do 40 what's called affordable units. And let's say the price is say the price is 750 for a regular unit. They'll sell that same exact unit. Say they sell it for 350, and then, but they'll have income restrictions on it, and then the next person who buys that unit will have to meet the income restrictions on it as well. So it stays affordable throughout. And there's, we did a lot in the Viridian like that. I believe the Encore, and now East Bank's going. There's often a affordable units in some of these projects, and it's basically a deed restriction that says, and then I forget, maybe Nashville Housing Fund or somebody like that's in charge of helping with the
yes.
setting the price.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's significantly lower. It's a phenomenal deal. It's a good deal for an investor to get some affordable units built, and it's good for the city too. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's nice to know that it's being addressed the best that you
yeah,
can. You know, I mean,
yeah. And they've been doing it a long time. Now, like I said, when they built Viridian, that was what, 20 years ago, 15 years
yeah,
ago.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
And now Tony's going to build another one. It's going to be the tallest in the city. Do you see that? Like, what is that? I
he no, that he's always making news for doing something pretty spectacular, though.
and there's something
I
new.
mean, that guy's, yeah. Is
It
it
did.
like Tony Girantano or something?
Yep, that's his name. And
Yeah.
did I hear 27 stories? Is that even remarkable? I don't know that
I don't
the other
know.
ones aren't,
I don't know.
but it's like the biggest or tallest. I
Nice.
mean, it's,
Yeah.
Tony's pretty cool on that kind of stuff. So, as we start to kind of close down, let's just talk about just a couple of other things that these are just our opinions again. And I'm going to bring this up. Here's Philip's thoughts. I'm not sure a chicken, a house, and
In
money,
houses, money, and apple pie or some kind of pie right there. I guess, yeah.
piece of cake.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
I guess I
That
don't know.
that's he's negotiating. Remember all those things. That's his contract.
So the next question that they were addressing is, will the housing market crash in 2024? No. I'm gonna be bold on that one. What do you think? No.
That's I would say in 2020. I mean, Russia would have to send out a nuke and all kinds of crazy stuff, but it could. I mean, but if we're going on like that, no. If we got no nukes, I'm saying the market's not crashing.
Yep. And then will foreclosures increase? I think that there is risk of that because there's a lot of people that are over financed, but still the comparison that I have to make when it comes to foreclosures, and I'll get off this one, is I'm comparing 2008 to 12 and those foreclosure numbers compared to now. Because when they say a foreclosure was increased 8% from a year ago, that is minuscule compared to what it was to the million homes that were foreclosed back in the day. Minuscule.
Yeah, it's kind of down 1%, but up 8% from a year ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Just means that it's hanging around. And, as things get more expensive and people are stretching, that's the risk as people stretch to get into homes. If anything knocks them off balance, That's the thing. And the other thing I would add to the calculation, if home values are only going to go up 1 to 2%, who knows if that's actually going to be the case, even if it was 5% in the next 2 years, you're not going to have that equity bed that we've had the last few years, to where if people got in trouble, they could sell and make a profit nicely, instead of going
Right.
broke, they go to Bimini.
Right.
Final thought. Final thought. Here we go. Do we have time to just do a couple of things, or nah? I think we're done.
Whatever you're.
Well, I was just going to say that one of the things, we're talking about market corrections and crashes and all that kind of stuff. There was an article here from Zillow, which again, I got no problem with those guys. One thing they really do well is data. They're really good at data. Maybe not interpretation, because their guess is as good as everybody else's. But they're talking about 200 housing markets in the U.S. are predicted for a price drop in the next 12 months. And what I've noticed is Tennessee is not on the list.
Yeah, and even if it was, this is kind of the article I was talking about. Like if you go to top 10 housing markets, see the highest drop.
Yes.
I mean, you even go down the list. Kennett, Missouri. Okay, I drive through Kennett, Missouri, and Kennett, Missouri is nothing of a city. Like I think it has 3 red lights, and it's projected a decline of 0.3% by April of 2024, followed by a 1.2 decrease by 2024 and 6.9 by March of 2025.
Angie,
So the first 2 numbers are not even, honestly, a 1% in a market is very little. So that's what I'm saying is like, man, they're stretching to be guessing at 0.5% and things like that. But I mean, I got to, like you said, they got so much data, they got to put it out somehow.
Well, but you're right. Down 1.2%. That's nothing. I will say, and I don't know if this is. It's just how the market has changed. Like Austin, Texas has. I mean, the bloom is kind of off the rose with that one.
Well, they say that, but this is not on there. This is not on any of their list. I mean, I see. I think Austin is a lot like Nashville, a lot like, and they could. It's just got so much going for it. I know it's seen a crazy bubble like Nashville or whatever you want to call it, but I think it's in. I know they say it's going down a little bit, but it's not like in this. Like they got places from Texas on here, and it's not Austin.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I think what brought it to the news was Oracle was leaving Austin and coming here. That's what made it sort of shine in terms of that. Plus, I tell you there's one other factor that's going to come back into this with all of the things that the market's going through, on top of pricing pressures, inventory, with interest rates being high enough to lock people in, me included. I'm not, unless I had to move, I'm not going anyplace. I was talking to a friend of mine, and we have similar rates. We're dug in,
Yeah.
The one thing that's going to cause even a little more turmoil in that is it's that NAR settlement stuff, because there's going to be days on market that are unexpectedly high for somebody that doesn't pay anything. And then it's just going to be a mess. I'm going to show you one last thing before we go.
Yeah.
Did you have something were you going to
No,
say?
I still think the NAR settlement at the end of the day will be a positive change for our industry. And although there's going, and like I'm almost terminate. It's going to be fun to see the offers and the stuff that people put in, especially the first ones that come out, like that thing you just showed. I'm going to really enjoy digging through that and just dealing with the realities of everybody thinking since it becomes negotiable, it's not free. I mean, it's just negotiable. I like, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be a treat to wade through some of this stuff. I think it's going to be fun.
It's just scary for a lot of people. But here I'm gonna show you, and then I don't think there's any danger. I'm gonna do it anyway. What this is an email that I got from the National Association of Realtors. All of us did. The only reason I bring this up is this. This is the beginnings of an explanation of what does it mean to tour a home.
Yeah.
That's how deep this conversation has gotten. And it goes through all of these questions and answers about what are the different versions of touring a home. Can you show them a house without a buyer's agency agreement? And I'm just saying, that's just the beginning of a few of the questions. The reason I bring that up is I've been saying, because it's the news on my brain, right now it's a bit of a mess. It's confusing is what it is. And there's a lot of people that are scared. Here's one, got one more meme for you, which isn't a meme. It's just I monitor this real estate site. Zillow is getting aggressive. Zillow just canceled my spend and stopped my co-marketing with my lender. Why would they do this? This has happened to anybody else. Zillow's getting in the act of taking control.
What are they doing that for? What?
I don't know. There's agents that spend unimaginable dollars with Zillow. Now they make money. There's no question about that.
Right.
But with the rules changing, Zillow, it's my prediction that they're going to do everything they can to cut out the buyer agent. As much as they've been a part of their business model, if they can get a client to come in and buy a house from one of their listing agents without a buyer agent, I bet Zillow would be more than happy to do that.
So Zillow has brokers around here that you could list your house with?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. I thought they was just a pass through for like me and you. Like they would just.
Yeah. At least there used to be. I'm pretty sure that's still the case. And offline, it's British guy you might know.
I'm not sure. Nothing's coming to mind.
You do. Anyway, I'm just saying that they, like a lot of other companies, they're big and they're smart and they're aggressive, and it kind of doesn't matter if one of us gets in the way because it's just business, buddy. That's.
Well, yeah, because I thought 99% of Zillow's money came from me and you, lenders and realtors.
I don't. I'm not crystal clear on that.
Like if they cut you out, that means they cut me out because I can't advertise without a realtor. Mm-hmm. So that means that if they cut you out, they're cutting. To me, they're cutting all their income source out. That's cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't studied Zillow, and I don't on purpose. I'm not interested in those guys. It sounds like I'm angry with them. I'm not. It's just I'm not into their business model. But I'm saying that the settlement. Remember, I told you, in my opinion, in my estimation, as problematic as this seems, all of this, it's going to create tremendous opportunity in all the ways we've talked about today. Mm-hmm. The list for less stuff, the a la carte stuff, hey, you can rent my sign, whatever. It's all going to be out there. And that's where the market is going to help sort this stuff out. But Zillow's no idiot, and
right.
That's why
they're going to try. Yeah, they're right. They'd love to cut out some part of it and take it all if they could. I mean, that's any business.
Well,
but I just didn't know how they're going to flip it like that. But good luck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think of the iBuyer thing. They lost so much money, and iBuyer was nothing more than trying to cut out the listing agent. And honestly, they was just trying to, when things are going up, 1% a day, or 1% a week or a month, they're trying to capture it and flip it in 2 months and make, 2 or 3% on it. And plus they get the realtor fees too. So
that was the stupidest business plan on the face of the planet. Like, it's literally only good for when the market's the hottest it could ever be.
Yeah.
And then you can't, and then you have to immediately stop it once it changes. Like, there's no business meant for that kind of directional change,
Yeah, they lost a lot of money doing that. Anyway, that's what a crazy day. I'm sorry I couldn't help, but the settlement is just part of it. It's just part of it for a while.
I mean, that's going to be part of our show for a minute. I mean, it's plus it's the news. It's what, it's what real estate is right now.
And it's going to be good news. And I'm on the Rodney train with, it's going to be weird for a while, but in the end, it'll all make sense to everybody. But the reason I showed you that email with all the questions is that's this much of the confusion that's across the country, because everybody's trying to figure it out, but we'll get it. And even brokers across the country are saying,
Right.
Yeah. We'll let you know.
Yeah.
I am. You got any final thoughts there, Rodney?
No. Appreciate everything. Good. I like the banter going. I like the banter and the engagement from our listeners. It's an interesting time, to say the least.
And we'll figure this out together. Philip, Wendy, so glad to see you guys around. Angie, as always, our California friend. You're just a super person. So, Rodney, I'll see you next week. No final thoughts?
That's it. Appreciate it.
See y'all next week. Bye-bye now.